In this video, I will provide an overview of some additional HTML tags. I am looking at the Tutorial 1 demo that is produced if you follow along the instructions in tutorial in our text using the 5th edition. So in this tutorial, in this chapter, we are learning how to insert an image. Here we have an example of a heading tag. We have a paragraph tag. Here is our horizontal rule. We have a block quote. We have another horizontal rule. We have an unordered list. We have an address tag, and we have some special characters. So let's take a look at how we would be creating this page using the HTML tags. I am going to use our online real-time editor at htmledit.squarefree.com. This is a very easy way of looking at our code. First of all, the top blue half is the editor, and notice I have a line of text. This is the top of the page. And in the white place, this is the output of our code. Here I have two heading tags, an H2 tag and an H3 tag. Notice how they render. They both render a different font size. They are block level elements. Remember, the block level element extends the width of the page. Technically, even though the content may not extend the whole width, that tag does. Therefore, it inserts a carriage return on the top and a carriage return on the bottom. Notice that we have space on the top of our H2 tag and on the bottom of our H2 tag. Now, remember, up here in the editor view, white space is ignored. So regardless of how I move my actual code around, it does not affect the output. So I can put my tags on two sides. I can put them across. I can arrange my code however it is meaningful to me. One thing that you do want to remember is that sometimes if we make a mistake, for example, if I accidentally forget my ending H3 tag, notice that the rest of my document will be in H3 because the browser reads this H3, and until we actually end it, it will continue displaying that format. So let's take a look at our paragraph tag. And here we can see that yes, the paragraph does exist all the way to the edge of the page. It is a block level element there, and notice I have this line of text. This is the top, this is the bottom. So we have a carriage return on the top, a carriage return on the bottom. Now, all block level elements do this. They have space on the top, space on the bottom. The amount of space will depend on the actual tag itself. For example, our generic div tag has less text on the top and the bottom. Notice how tight the top and the bottom is to the text. It is still a block level element. There is still a break on the top and a break on the bottom. So let's change this to a block quote. There's my opening block quote and my ending. Notice now that we have a block quote. There is an indentation from the left. This is actually called a margin, and an indentation from the right. Notice we have more spacing on top, more spacing on the bottom, similar to the paragraph tag. Let's take a look at the address tag. The address tag renders itself in italic. It is a block level element, and notice the space on the top and the space on the bottom is less than in the block quote and the paragraph. Everything is a little bit tighter. Okay, so let's go back to our paragraph. And now I am going to put a bold tag around this HTML word here. Okay, so here we see the bold being displayed in the bottom of the editor. So I have my opening bold tag and my closing bold tag. And this is what's called an inline element. as opposed to the paragraph tag being block level. In Inline Element, there is no carriage return. The tag just formats the element, and there is no break in the flow of the content. If I were to change this bold to a span tag, now a span is just a generic container, and we will look at this later. Similar to the div, it is very useful for calling style sheets. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other code that we are learning. The horizontal rule, the HR tag. And I just have a very simple horizontal rule. And here again, this is how it displays. It is actually centered. It goes across the page. It is a block level element. Notice there is some space on the top and there is some space on the bottom. It's relatively tight. If I wanted more space, I can actually add a break tag. So we see where a break tag can come in handy, and it gives us a little bit more spacing around the element. Okay, let's take a look at our ordered list. And I'm going to just, there we are. And let me put a line of text at the bottom of my ordered list. Okay. The ordered list starts with the opening OL tag and the closing OL tag, and it contains list items. So you have an opening LI and a closing LI for every item. Unordered, this is the ordered list, excuse me, meaning there is some kind of a numbering system. So here we see the default numeric numbering system 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice this is also a block level element. There is some space on the top, space on the bottom. There's actually 2 lines of space similar to the paragraph tag and the block quote tag and the heading tags. Now, the LI tags are also block level. Notice that after we close it, we go down to another line. Should we want to change this to an unordered list, we simply just change the OL to a UL, and now here we have a bulleted list. If we wanted to, and the default marker is our bullet, which is actually called a disc, D-I-S-C. Should we want to change this, we would need to use style sheets. And remember, we are using the HTML style attribute, calling a CSS property. So we have the HTML style attribute calling the CSS list style type property, and we are setting that to the value of circle, and we can change our list. If we were to go back to the ordered list, we would also be using the same list style type property, except our values would change because we now have a different type of list. And I can change this to upper alpha, and therefore I can have an A, B, C, D, E type of numbering system. Now let's go back to our heading tag and let's learn how to center this tag. Here again we are using the style attribute, and we are calling the CSS property text align, setting it to the value of center. Therefore, I see that my H2 tag is now centered in the middle of the page. Now, what would happen if I accidentally forgot my ending quote? Whoa, look what happened. We lost a lot of content. So you never know. One character out of place could be a disaster. Sometimes one character out of place does nothing. For example, if I remove the ending H2 tag, nothing happened because the browser reads the beginning H3 and it just starts it. So some tags it matters, some it doesn't. So it's always a good idea to be careful with your work, and we will talk in the future about validators to help you validate your code. I would also like to point out that in your Tutorial 1 files that come with the book, there is an actual file that is similar to this website, where you can actually write HTML and preview it on the right-hand side. And this file is available for you on Blackboard.